My name is Modupe Ladipo. I'm the first CEO of EFINA. EFINA stands for Enhancing Financial Innovation and Access. We were established late 2007, so we just completed 5 years. And our mission really is to promote financial inclusion in Nigeria. We are funded by 2 donors, the Department of International Development, which is the UK government, AFID, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And what EFINA does is 4 main things. We provide research on the Nigerian financial sector so as to inform policy or to stimulate product development. We do a lot of capacity building, so we do study tours, innovation forum, workshops on a range of different topics in the financial sector in Nigeria. We bring experts here when we feel that we need to improve the capacity or increase the capacity of regulators and the private sector. We have an innovation fund where we give grants to organizations that are looking to provide products and services aimed at the low-income population. And lastly, we also do a lot of advocacy. So we work very closely with the regulators, advocating for policies that will foster and promote financial inclusion in Nigeria. In terms of financial inclusion, my story is I've always worked in investment banking in the UK actually, so this is my first job in Nigeria. And it's all about, they were looking for a Nigerian who would come and really sort of catalyze and stimulate the financial sector into deepening and broadening their services to the low-income segment. So they felt that since I come from the kind of banking background that the banks had, that I would be able to maybe tell that story and sell that story a little bit better. So that was the reason why I was actually recruited. Before EFINA, I was based in the UK. I worked for many different investment banks, working around brokerage, retail brokerage, corporate development, M&A. I also spent 4 years at the London Stock Exchange. I have a chemical engineering degree and an MBA. So really and truly, it's all been about financial sector most of my career. But it's all about really how we use my experience in the UK and really bring it to bear in the Nigerian financial sector. Initially, our primary target are the regulators and the providers of financial services. But we also need to then ensure that we pass on the education and the awareness of various products and services to the grassroots, where we really believe that's where our segment is the low-income segment. So we do believe that now, as they increasingly are using social media, and our providers are also, financial providers are also increasing their use of social media, it's an environment where we can put out information on what EFINA is doing, information on different products, information on redress mechanisms, information about knowing your rights when you're dealing with financial services. And since we're neutral, then maybe the people will actually take on that information. Nigeria is a very challenging environment, and with EFINA we were doing something new, financial inclusion. I was new to Nigeria, and it was all about really trying to persevere. My background in investment banking really gave me that platform of the ability to multitask and juggle many different things. You know, it's kind of do not say die attitude. I think my father always instilled in us that hard work never killed anybody. So that's the ethos by which I try and live by. You know, in the UK, the challenges of work-life balance, and in Nigeria there are also those challenges. But I think one of the greatest challenges of being the CEO in Nigeria is really about instilling your own work ethic and your own principles in the organization and the culture. Nigeria is a very different environment to the environment I'm used to working in, and also because people tend to think that because you're doing development work, it equates to downtime, you know, few hours, dozing around, but it isn't. It's very professional, and it also entails a lot of work. So in this line of business, you really just have to have staying power, because to make regulations change and to make people change, move from what their comfort zone is, you need to have a lot of fortitude, but you have to have the evidence to make them understand why they need to make those changes. I think for me, I was always like a fitness fanatic, and I spent a lot of time running various marathons, half marathons in the UK. And obviously there's not room to do that in Nigeria, neither is there time to do that. When you're trying to establish something, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and you have to be committed to it. And almost treat it as if it's your own organization. So in order to get it up and running and establish a brand. So now that we've gotten to that level, I think that hopefully I will have the opportunity to go back to my daily exercise routine and really work-life balance, really get it right, because currently it's not the way it should be, and for all staff as well. Get that.
Okay.
There are a whole lot of barriers to access. In Nigeria, for example, at EFINA we conduct a survey every 2 years, a consumer side survey, which is nationwide. We go to all the states and we ask them a range of questions around financial uptake, financial behavior, reasons why they don't have a bank account, what would they like a bank to provide them, etc. A whole range of questions. And really the last survey we did was last year, which is 2012, and we found that only 32.5% of the adult population is currently banked in Nigeria. So the number of adults that are not banked, and by adults we mean 18 and over, equates to almost 60 million adults that do not have a bank account in Nigeria. That's a sizable problem. So they're not actively performing in the formal financial sector. We also found that another 24 million currently save at home. And so we did a back of the envelope exercise that if 50% of those 24 million would put 1,000 naira a month away, that would equate to 143 billion naira. So can you imagine 143 billion naira under people's pillowcases, in the floor, in little, so that money is a lot of money that can be used usefully to helping the banks also lower their interest rates, etc. So we try and promote that. It's a big problem, and we've moved, because when we first started in 2008, they were only 21.5% banked. Now we've gotten to 32.5%, but there's still a long way to go. Yes, we have a gender focus simply because, not just for the sake of gender, but because when we look at the financially excluded, they tend to be more women than men. So that's the reason why our focus on women, and also because our donor DFID also and Gates Foundation, Beloved and the Gates Foundation, they also have gender-specific programs. So we try to encourage the banks. We've looked at whether there are different challenges women face to formal financial services than men. And typically we find that the challenges are usually the same, give or take 1 or 2 issues. But we're now developing a strategy looking at really how we can provide products and services specifically aimed at women, not to exclude men, but specifically aimed at women. And we've given a grant to one of the banks that have come up with a savings product, and they are currently piloting and testing that will be geared particularly to women. For the next 5 years, we hope that the central bank has developed a national financial inclusion strategy, and in there they've clearly stated that they would like financial exclusion to come down to 20% by the year 2020. We're currently at 39.7%, so we have a long way to go. So we'll continue to act as a catalyst in the market, continue to stimulate, continue to cajole, continue to support both the regulator and the providers to come up with sensible products and services. It's good now that there's a national financial inclusion strategy, but it's now about implementing those strategies to ensure that all the targets in those strategies in the strategy are actually met.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.